Tonight, we're talking about the interior offensive linemen in this year's 2025 NFL Draft. Hey guys, it's Joshua Klein, your host of the Draft Beard podcast. Welcome in tonight. We're going to be ranking my top 10 interior offensive linemen in the 2025 NFL Draft. So we're going to be talking about guards and centers in this year's class. And before we do that, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. I would really appreciate it. That gets this content into those hands who would most be interested in the NFL Draft. We're getting closer. We're just over a week away from the NFL Draft. And tonight we're going to be going over guards and centers. So I ranked my top 10 guards and centers. The reason I compiled them this year is this is a very, very weak center class. I had one guard rated 5th round or better. We'll get to that guard in this podcast. This class isn't an overly deep class like it was last year in terms of the offensive guards. The only reason this class has any sort of depth at all or even some value at the top of the draft board is because we have quite a few guards who really played tackle in college and really are going to be seen as guards at the next level. Otherwise, this class would be an abysmal class. But as it is, I had no first-round graded guards. I had like 3 second-round graded guards, 4 third-round graded. Then I'm going to throw out a few maybe early day 3 guys that I'll talk about here at the beginning of my top 10. And then I had my one center in this year's draft class, and I have him as a 3rd-round grade. So with that, we'll get right up to my number 10 guard in this year's class, and that is Webb, the guard out of Jacksonville State. 6'4", 302 pounds, a little older. He's 25 years old. He's a 6th-year senior. He is a guy who was recruited heavily. I believe he was a 5-star recruit, went to Georgia, transferred to Jacksonville State, played with Rich Rod to start in his career at Jacksonville State. And he was really a good guard, especially for the competition level. He's athletic. I wouldn't say he's like overly athletic. He ran a 5.11 40. Didn't have a great shuttle time, but it wasn't terrible. He's a guy who plays with natural leverage. He possesses really good strength. He really shows up in run blocking. He creates initial displacement with a good leg drive, core strength. He had an 80.2 PFF run blocking grade this year. Kind of fits more of the zone blocking schemes. Decent lateral movement for those outside zone runs. He identified the movement really quick after the snap, really good core strength. He played 31 games at Jacksonville State. If you're looking for a guy who can be maybe a starter at the NFL level, I see him starting his career as a backup, got really good durability. He's got short arms. He did take some reps at the Senior Bowl at center, so there maybe is some versatility there in the future. He's not very consistent at pass protection, right? He's a little tardy with his hand timing. Still has a little bit of trouble with his pad level. Doesn't recover very well. Has some body control issues, right? His hips are kind of rigid so I don't know if I see a starting guard. It's possible, right? He's got the longevity. He has played very well at run blocking. It's just he really needs to develop better at pass blocking. So again, I think he would fit well in a zone-heavy offense, inside, outside zones. Teams would fit well with the San Francisco style or Mike McDaniel's wide zone rushing attack. I could see Sean McVay and the Rams utilizing him well. I comped him kind of to a Wyatt Teller from the Cleveland Browns who was drafted in the 5th round back in 2018. Jonah Jackson, who was the Detroit Lions draft pick in the 3rd round out of Ohio State. I like him. I think this guard class got rather thin really quick. I wanted to include him because I think he's a guy who you might be able to see become a starter at the NFL level. But at worst case scenario, I think his floor is a good backup guard, learn the center position and maybe being a good backup center, but with starter upsides. I think his floor is going to be, he's going to be in the NFL for quite a long time because of his run blocking prowess, but he's a little bit older of a prospect. So if he was a little younger, maybe I'd have him up higher on my draft boards, giving him a little bit more time to develop. But he was my number 10 guard in this year's class. The next one is Miles Frazier, the guard out of Louisiana State University. 6'6", 317 pounds, gonna be 24. He did run the short shuttle at his pro day, 4.84 short shuttle. I see him as a really good pass blocking guard at the NFL level, right? He has elite pass protection. He has allowed 0 sacks in his last 20 games and just 4 in 1,563 pass blocking snaps. He had an 88.4 pass blocking grade per PFF. He's a really stout anchor, right? He's a dense frame, 33 and 3/8 inch arm. He does a good job at ignoring power rushers, neutralizing those bull rushes. Really heavy hands. He's got vice grip type hands, so gives him really good grip strength. He played at right guard, right tackle, left tackle. I don't see him being a tackle at the NFL level, but he has experience. So that's going to give him value, position versatility at playing at 4 of the 5 spots at the offensive line. He rapidly IDs the blitzes, twists, stunts. He's okay with power in the run blocking game, but his limited lateral agility does show up, right? He didn't have a really great 40 time. He doesn't move laterally very well. Too much of a waist bender, too high of a pad level. His hand placement, though he's got strong hands, he needs to get better coaching on where to place those hands. Loses his balance from time to time. And he has a narrowing stance in pass protection. So I think if you want a pass protecting guard at the NFL level where he can be a starter, I think Miles Frazier can be a starter. He's not going to be a really good run blocking guard. He has a weakness there. So I think he can be a starter at the NFL level. It kind of gets overlooked in this class because he is exceptional at pass blocking and needs some work at run blocking. I think if he could be picked up late day 2 is probably maybe a little early. I see him as an early day 3 pick. Again, a guy who could fill in gap power schemes, maybe some inside zone, but he's really going to be an effective pass blocker. I think he can be one of the better pass protectors in the league. I comped him to a guy like Trevor Keegan out of the Philadelphia Eagles, who was drafted last year in the 5th round. So like Miles Frazier, he's a high floor pass protecting guard. I think he can be a starter at the NFL level, but his weakness is going to be in the run game. And that's why I had him at number 9 in this year's rankings. Number 8. That takes us to Marcus Mbow of the University of Purdue. He was a right tackle at the University of Purdue. He was 6'4", 302 pounds, just turned 22 years of age. He did run a 4.67 short shuttle, shows some good athletic ability there. Miles is like I said, he's a tackle. So he's going to move into guard. And that's really where he's going to be found. An athletic tackle, a very fluid, athletically quick hands. He plays with a nasty streak, really good pass protector, just like Miles Davis. He allowed only 2 sacks and 51 pressures over his 1,092 pass pro attempts. Really good at zone blocking. That's where he's going to excel. He does a good job at reaching those 3 techs and sealing off with the slingshot technique. Really smart. He's really instinctual. He knows how to diagnose the play, adjusting to those moves that the defensive linemen have. Really competitive. You see him not stopping to the whistle, relentless motor. He's a little lighter in the frame that you'd like to see. It's the short arms. He was in the bottom 20% for guards. You'd think he would be a little bit more laterally quick than he is. He's got some choppy footwork that I think with coaching could help him out a little bit, and some hand technique that could be refined. Tends to lunge and lean forward a little bit, losing contact balance. But I think his zone fit for him really would do him well. I think he could play tackle. He could maybe in a pinch on the right side of the line. I just don't think that he's going to do well with those defensive endmen speed rushing, going into the outside. I think he'd be better in the phone booth, playing on the inside. He'd be much more effective. I think he has some ability in the future to develop as a run blocker. So his age with some showed a little bit better ability than Miles at run blocking, but he's again right up there as an exceptional pass blocker. So that's why I had rated him in the 3rd round, higher upside than Miles Frazier. So I like Marcus. I think he could develop into a decent starter at the NFL level. Again, not a great run blocker, decent, going to need some work in the run blocking game, but it's going to come in right away and be a pass blocking offensive guard. I compared him to Luka Decky, who was drafted in the second round in 2022 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I see him. He fits, again, maybe a little bit with the Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan style. I see the Eagles, again, with their zone blocking. I'm just losing my train of thought. That's awesome. Great. Sorry about that, but it happens. But I like Marcus. Don't see him as a tackle at the NFL level, but starter quality offensive guard in this year's draft. Next up is my only center in this year's NFL draft. That is Jared Wilson, the center out of the University of Georgia at 6'3", 310 pounds, 22 years of age by the time the draft starts. Fantastic 4.56 short shuttle. Jared Wilson is an athletic. He's very technically sound. Now, he played behind some already good offensive linemen at the University of Georgia, which is why he only had the 1 year as a starter. Another elite pass blocking interior offensive lineman. Hit a 90.5 PFF blocking grade. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, and 531 pass blocking attempts. Again, another guy who's going to fit that zone blocking. He's a really good lateral mover, reaches his landmarks really well, gets to the second level, really issues a really tight, compact punch, really good hand placement on the inside, anchors very well. Obviously, since he plays center, he's really smart, IDs what's coming in front of him with blitzes and stunts and all that kind of stuff, really good body control. The problem where he has very average leg drive, short arms, again, in the bottom 20% for centers. That's going to limit his reach. I mentioned he's only a 1 year starter at the University of Georgia. I don't necessarily think that was because of ability. It's just the University of Georgia and those top programs like that, those blue bloods, have elite players, and there's a lot of good ones in front of them who have been drafted over the last couple of years in the NFL. So I think Jared Wilson had a really good season. Not necessarily going to knock him too hard for the 1 year starter. Weaker upper body strength than what you'd like to see. But I think of all the centers in this draft, he's the only one with starter upside. Just about every other one, and maybe they could be a backup. It's a hard position to play. There aren't very many of them. So I think Jared gets bumped up the board a little bit because he's really good. I think he can be a good starting center at the NFL level. Again, another one of those guys who's going to be better fit for zone. I think, again, another guy, Denver Broncos might fit. Seattle, I could see if that style. I compared him to a Mitch Morse of the Buffalo Bills, second-round pick in 2015. He was similar in height and size and athletic and very good at pass protection. Jared Wilson's going to be a starter at center in the NFL. The only one I think of this whole class who has that upside. Totally different if you're counting another guy who we'll get to later in Gray Zabel, if you consider him just a straight center, but he's versatile and we'll get to him down the draft board. But if you're looking for just a true center, only going to be playing center, then Jared Wilson is going to be your guy. And so that brings me next up on my list, and that is Jonah Savaiinea. I think I got that name right. Probably should have looked up Dane Brugler's pronunciation before I did that. But he's 6'4", 324 pounds, 21 years of age. He ran a 4.95 shuttle, or 40 at the combine, and a 4.66 short shuttle at the combine. Didn't do anything in his pro day. He's powerful. Offensive tackles is what he played. I think he's going to move to guard. He's a little bit different than the guys who've been behind him in that the terms he's not as an athletic, thin guy like others. He possesses elite size and weight and has a really good barrel chest, 34 and 5/8 inch arms, really heavy hands, delivers jolting punches with that snap trap technique. He's just going to be a beef. He's a beast. He gets really good pass protection as well. He's extremely difficult to move backward because he's a bigger guy. He has that elite, massive frame. He has power to his game as well and run blocking. Resets the line on double teams, moves down the field very well. High IQ, really smart, explosive burst. The problem is, again, some coaching stuff, right? He plays the high pad level. His lateral agility could be better. His footwork can be kind of heavy. Hands sometimes can be inconsistent. Not that he doesn't know how to place them. They're just not consistent from snap to snap. Tends to lunge a little bit and struggles with the left side. Did better at the right side and kind of oversets against rushers who come from the wide side. So if you get those wide 9 alignments, he does struggle with that. I like Jonah. He's just different than what we've seen with other guys in this class. He is their true kind of power gap offensive lineman. I think he's going to sit inside, be better guard, but I think he's one of these guards that can maybe play tackle as well. I think if you wanted to play him at right tackle in a pinch, I think you could. I think he's going to be a better guard, so he's going to be moved inside, and I think he can do both pass and run blocking functional as he gets started in his NFL career. He's a large guy. I kind of compared him a little bit between like Darnell Wright, who was drafted a couple years ago out of the Bears, or an Osiris Torrance, who got drafted last year. Both were large, powerful guards, kind of maulers, mean streak type of people. But I think he's not like Miles Frazier or Mbow, who's exceptional at pass blocking. He's good at pass blocking, and he's not exceptional at run blocking, but he's good. I think Jonah is a person, especially with his age, he can develop into a really good starter. I think he can come in, be functional in his first year, probably be better at guard. You could try him out at tackle. I wouldn't be opposed to that since that is where he played in college. But I like him. I had him rated ahead of the guys ahead of him because I think he has more to his game than the guys behind him. And so that brings me up to my next offensive guard on the list, and that is going to be my number 5 offensive guard here, but that's going to be Wyatt Milum out of West Virginia. So Wyatt is one of my favorite guys in this class. He's just a mean SOB, 6'7", 313 pounds, 22 years of age, ran a 4.69 shuttle and a 5.27 40. Out of the University of West Virginia, you can tell right away that he has a wrestling background. A little thin because he's taller, 6'6", that 320-ish weight there. Relentless motor, a guy in this class, another one that is elite pass protection, gets out of his stance quickly, 0 sacks allowed in 1 QB hit, 1,155 pass blocking snaps. Another guy with powerful hands, really good stout anchor, has a wide base. You can see that core strength. He uses his wrestling background very well, has some good run blocking pop, very smart, IDs, blitzes very well, has experience. He played mostly left tackle and right tackle. But I think in this case, with his short arms in the bottom 15% for all offensive linemen, he's going to move to the inside and play guard. He plays the high pad level. He's never played guard before in college. There's going to be a learning curve for him. Mediocre agility, that 40 time kind of shows that. He has a narrow base. He's kind of a waist bender, stiff lower half. I like him a lot. I really do. I think he has the ability to be a very good starting guard at the NFL level. I think he could try and play at the tackle position. So if you need a swing tackle or a guy who can play tackle in a pinch, but he can be plugged in as your everyday guard, I think Wyatt Milum could be that. I think he could play in a gap heavy or duo-based offenses that, emphasizes power runs, quick set pass protections. So you got a guy who, again, another elite pass blocking offensive guard. But as we get closer and closer to the top of the list, what you notice is the guys who have a little bit better at having both, right? So Wyatt, elite pass blocker, a little bit better run blocker than some of the guys behind him, right? Savaiinea, the guy behind him, good at both. But I think you still get elite pass blocking ability with Wyatt, but you get better run blocking ability. I thought that Wyatt would fit well with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the way they run their offense, or maybe the Tennessee Titans, the way Brian Callahan runs his system. I had a comp of Brandon Scherff from the Jaguars or Luke Gadecki from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both around that 6'5", 6'6" range, same kind of weight. So I like Wyatt, a high floor with still a decent ceiling, and that's why I have Wyatt rated as my number 5th offensive guard in this class. But before we get to the remainder of the top 5, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. I would really appreciate it. There's a lot of people out there who love the NFL draft, and let's help get this content to them by subscribing, and sharing this podcast. So that gives me to my number 4 guard in the class, and that's Tyler Booker out of the University of Alabama. He is one of those guys that is a polarizing prospect. There are teams who are going to love Tyler Booker, and there are teams who may not even have him on their draft board whatsoever. He is an old school, beat you up in a phone booth, wreck you, and make you want to cry when you go home offensive lineman. The problem is, in this day and age where teams are running more zone, they love to pull more, he's not going to be that type of guy at all, right? He's 6'5", 321 pounds, 21 years of age. He ran a 4.8 short shuttle and one of the worst 40 times we're going to have in this top 10, and that is a 5.38 40. He's dominant, right? He's very good. He was very, very good at college. Now, some people have mocked him into the first round. I had a 3rd round grade on him. He just doesn't, he's not going to have a wide range of teams who are going to love him, but teams that can utilize him are going to love him. He is elite size and power. He is an absolute power offensive lineman, good size, good length, a really good strength, very strong hands, large 11-inch hands, very strong anchor, just pops in the run blocking game. He displaces down blocks, creates lanes. He's nasty. His combine interview was hysterical, that he just wants to basically kill people, wants them to hate football by the time that they're end playing against him. He sets the tone on the interior of the offensive line. You know Booker is there. The problem is he's not athletic at all. He's not going to fit a zone system. He has very heavy feet, plays with a high pad level, very upright, no lateral agility whatsoever, not athletic whatsoever, does not take very good angles, lunges, and is not the smartest at kind of picking up those stunts and twists. It's like, I like him. I think he can have the ability to be an excellent power blocking guard at the NFL level. I do truly see it. But in a league that has been more pass heavy, I know we're moving a little bit more towards the running back and the running game becoming more prevalent in today's NFL over the last few seasons. But I think he's going to be he's pigeonholed into power schemes that can utilize his mauling, I want to just kill you mentality. I think Pittsburgh might be an okay spot for him. I really struggle with where he's going to fit. And that's one of the reasons why I don't have him so high. I compare him to Osiris Torrance again. Very similar, right? And that they're mean, nasty, not as athletic. Cody Ford out of the Cincinnati Bengals, who's drafted in the 2nd round in 2019, which is why I think maybe the Bengals could be a fit for him. Similar style. So I think he could be a cornerstone guard in a power blocking offense. And that gets us to our next guy on the list, who is the polar opposite of Booker, and that's Tate Ratledge, the very athletic 6'7", 308-pound, 24-year-old guard out of the University of Georgia. He is one of my absolute favorites in this guard class. He's probably my favorite guy of all of the guards from the University of Georgia. He was a first-team All-American in 2024. He is a stout anchor, utilizes his size effectively. He's tall, Really good hands in the 10 and 3/8 inch hands, steers defenders very well, super smart, really good run blocking ability. He generates really good push at the point of attack, anchors double teams effectively. He finishes with violence. He plays nasty. He's super consistent, but he's a lot more athletic. So he's the polar opposite. I think he does have some power to his game, but he's going to be able to function very well doing pulls, doing zone blocking, utilizing zone blocking schemes. He tends to lose his balance though. Hand placement could be better. It tends to get a little wide. Does has heavy feet on screens. Plays with a high center of gravity, but I think he has the potential to be a very, very good NFL guard. He had, I believe, an 89.6 pass blocking grade, 79.6 run blocking. A little bit better at pass blocking, but I think he's good at both. I think he can fit in either balanced offenses that use a really strong inside running game or maybe gap power. Can also play in zone. So I think he has the versatility to be open to playing in many different offensive sets in the NFL. I liked him in a comparison to one of my favorite guys, again, from last year's draft. One of my favorite guys was Mason McCormick, South Dakota State. I saw him very similar players, athletic guards, like Tate Ratledge a lot. I have him as a second-round grade, and I think he can develop into a very, very good offensive guard. I think he can fit right in, be a starter, and excel at the NFL level. So I think he has a pretty good floor. I still think he has a decently high ceiling. One of my favorite guards in this year's draft. And that takes me to one of the favorites among most of the draft community out there, and that is Gray Zabel, the guard out of North Dakota State, 6'6", 312 pounds, 23 years old. He is a guy that a lot of people have been talking about most of the draft cycle. He's very versatile. He's very athletic. He has the ability to play all 5 positions across the offensive line: right tackle, left tackle, guard, and center. He has started, I believe, 41 games across 4 of the positions. I don't believe he started a game at center in his athletic career. He had a 90.4 PFF pass blocking grade. He also is a really good run blocker. He's really savvy. He uses his low pad level, good hips, generates a good push in the run game. Really good agility, right? He's good in the short area with this quick initial burst. I think he's athletic enough where he's going to be able to play anywhere you really want to play him. His home's going to be on the interior of the offensive line. Do I think he could play on the outside in a pinch? Maybe. Again, it's that bottom 10% of arm length for offensive linemen. He exposes his chest. He's not as strong as you would like to be, struggles against bull rushes, really raw with his hand technique, unlike some of the other guys in this class. Balance issues, plays with a little bit narrower of a base. So he needs some refinement in his game. Obviously, coming from the FCS level to the pro level, we'll see how quick of a transition that he can make. But he has, I think, a very high ceiling. I think his floor is a little bit lower than a lot of people want to talk about compared to some of the other guards in this class. But very high ceiling, very versatile. Can be used in an inside zone, wide zone offense. I think Minnesota's zone scheme would work for him. I think maybe San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan type. But again, the NFL runs a lot of these zone type blocking schemes. I compared him to Cody Mock of Tampa Bay or Graham Barton out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's this year's Graham Barton. I think Graham was a better prospect last year than Gray is this year. Graham was better suited to jump in right away. I think Gray's going to need a little bit of time to adjust from the FCS level to the NFL level, and I don't have as high a floor on him as some other guards in this class. Higher ceiling, but at that position versatility, I see it. Not down on Gray at all. It's kind of giving you the real perspective of what I see with them. I don't have a first-round grade on him. I have a second-round grade on Gray Zabel. That brings me to my number 1 guard in the 2025 NFL draft, and that is Donovan Jackson, 6'4", 317 pounds, 23 years old. He ran a 4.84 short shuttle, did not run a 40. He played guard in college, but he showed exceptional ability when he covered for Josh Simmons when he got hurt and played tackle. Donovan is one of my favorite guards in this class. For him and Tate Ratledge are my two faves in the class. Really, really good, quick mover. Really good, strong, uses his hands well, uses his length well, really good pass blocker, only allowed 2 sacks. He had an 86.0 PFF pass blocking grade. Really smart guy. He processes information very well. He recognizes those stunts, blitzes, twists. He also has really good run blocking power, right? He generates movements in the gap and zone. He drives defenders away from him. So he's ideally another one of those zone scheme guys, which again, most of these guys, that's where they're going to fit. Inconsistent hand placement level. He's going to need some technical refinement, some coaching there. He's not overly agile, so he's not the greatest athlete, but kind of loses leverage a little bit of a waist spender. But I love Donovan Jackson a lot. I think he has a really high floor at the NFL level, and I still think he has a high ceiling because I think he's a really good pass blocker and has really good power in run blocking. That's why I had him as my highest rated guard, 2nd round grade on him. I think he would fit with the Kansas City Chiefs style. I think he'd fit with what the Detroit Lions used to run, so Ben Johnson style, the Eagles style of offense. I compared him a little bit to Elijah Vera Tucker of the New York Jets. Kind of athletic, but versatile, or maybe an Eldon Jenkins out of Green Bay, who both is a good run blocker and pass blocker. But Donovan Jackson, I think he's a high floor guard with still having a high ceiling to his game. Really like him a lot. I would not be shocked if I heard his name called on day one. Don't expect it, but I wouldn't be shocked if someone at the back end of the draft saw him as a day one prospect. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be one of my favorite guards in this class. I think he has a long career ahead of him. I see him as maybe at least a 2 contract player at the NFL level. I don't know if he has Pro Bowl potential, but I see a really good plug and play starter at the NFL level. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 10 interior offensive linemen in the NFL draft. Recap, we had Clay Webb, the guard out of Jacksonville State, Miles Frazier out of LSU. We had Marcus Mbow, the offensive tackle, who will play guard out of Purdue, Jared Wilson, the center out of the University of Georgia, Jonah Savaiinea from the University of Arizona, another tackle moving into guard, Wyatt Milum, another tackle moving into guard out of the University of West Virginia. Then we got Tyler Booker out of Alabama, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, Gray Zabel, another tackle who's really going to play on the interior, and out of North Dakota State. And then my number 1 tackle, and that was Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State. So hope you liked this podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I would really appreciate it. Again, those are my top 10 guards in the NFL draft. So look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of the Draft Beard Podcast.
The Draft Beard Podcast.